Back from Walking Dead, this is episode 20 of season 10. I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening next. These bonus episodes are flying by. We're already going to be over halfway through them after this one, which is nuts. So yes, I wasn't really that aware of like what these next few were going to focus on. I'm pretty sure I know a bit about what the last episode of this season's about, but episode 20 and 21 I wasn't really sure. I'm still not sure about 21, but I'm sure I'll find out eventually. But apparently this one is focusing on Eugene, Ezekiel, Princess, and Yumiko, and them being surrounded by the Stormtrooper people. So yeah, I wasn't sure if they'd actually explore more of that story until season 11. So the fact that they are covering it is pretty damn cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing more about exactly who these people are. Are we going to meet Stephanie in this episode? That would be interesting as well. But either way, I'm intrigued to see what they're going to be doing with these characters and introducing, a new group of people, just like they kind of did with the Reapers in Maggie's episode at the start of these bonus ones. So yeah, if it's even half as good, I think, of any of these previous episodes, I think we're in for a bit of a treat. So let's get into the next one. Well, there was an attempt.
You're hurting me.
Jesus. Oh my god. Customer service is rubbish so far.
Albany, Annapolis, Atlanta.
Oh, she can't just try and stay calm.
Baton Rouge.
I mean, I almost feel like finding nothing in that pile of rags is a good thing. Oh. Did you get a splinter? Because that's what the episode's called.
I'm gonna make it up to you. I just gotta find a way through this wall. No, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if she feels like she has something to prove.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Stay awake. Listen to me.
Doesn't sound great,
Listen to my
does
voice,
she?
okay? There's one girl who taught me how to dye my hair, which totally changed my life. I wonder where she is now. Is she
Probably
dead?
food.
It got infected again and swelled up like a birthday balloon. Like oozing this gross pus that made me feel like a swamp monster. And my mom...
Lovely story.
Notice. You can't push me away. This was my house first. He smacked me hard.
Oh, damn.
Right across my jaw.
It feels like human connection's like super important to her.
So Yumiko? Yumiko, you okay?
Uh-oh.
Austin. Baton Rouge. Please, my voice.
I love how it seems like her brain just always working and she has to just keep it like stimulated. Really?
Alright, yeah.
Surely they want her to escape if it's that bloody easy.
I don't have to bet on anything. All logic and reason points to Yumiko being okay.
Sorry, man, but that's bad shit.
Stop it.
Hands up, move slowly.
Where are we going?
Walk.
Oh,
What is this? What are you gonna do to me? What are you looking for?
Turn her off.
bites maybe?
Let's start with your name.
Oh, that's some ominous fucking lighting.
Tell me about your friends. Start with the one you're worried about. What's her name?
What are their weaknesses?
What did you do with her? Why can't I see her?
Because you're being a bitch.
I wanna see her!
Fuck you!
You should have answered our questions.
Oh, it's like the story with her stepdad. She's even got the splinter. Didn't even see that guy's face, but I know I want to punch it. I bet it's punchable.
Friends, they said. They use that word.
Aww. She really wants friends.
Eugene,
Uh-oh.
What the? Ezekiel?
Hey! Hello there.
We don't know these people, and we can't trust what we don't know. We can find a way out.
You don't know that.
Their armor's too squeaky clean.
Nothing is fine.
Oh, her jaws hurt like before. Oh.
I'll be okay.
No one is gonna hurt you anymore. Not while I'm here.
Wholesome fucking content.
Watch up top.
Ezekiel, we can't just leave them here.
You don't think I know that? They're my friends.
Our friends?
I didn't mean it like that.
People suck.
You see one
Amen.
thing for me?
Uh-oh.
We rolled up and it was just...
Damn.
What the hell did you just do?
Punch him.
He has information we need.
Ezekiel's not fucking about.
I know this is a lot, but isn't it possible, just maybe, that we're not the bad guys?
You separated us and locked us inside train
It's
cars.
intense, I get that, okay? But if you just stay calm...
You've punched at least 2 out of 4 of the people that you've taken in.
So let's say you're telling the truth, and you're actually very helpful people who like to help, even if you look like a bunch of scary action figures came to life.
They do.
Happens after this.
We're careful because we have a lot to lose. Don't you get that?
There's careful, then there's punching people during an interview.
I'm so new that rifle isn't even loaded.
Oh, you prick.
Ezekiel, stop!
Oh my god, you...
Oh my God, stop! Stop! You're gonna kill him!
What's gone into him? Jesus.
Stop!
Just listen and do what we say!
Please.
See, this is why you don't have white armor. Stains are just gonna be like, ugh. Did she imagine all that? Was he not really there? That would explain why that didn't feel like Ezekiel.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Oh, that's...
This is new.
Oh, this is creepy. Her only company for, like, God knows how long was those people she dressed up, right? Well, the walkers she dressed up.
But they came back for me.
Walkers talking again. I thought we were over this shit.
I mean, there's the ADHD, the anxiety, the PTSD, the depression, the crushing loneliness, and the active imagination that helps me cope with all of that. But, like, maybe
Wow.
that's the only sane response to an
I'm glad they're getting
world.
some representation of
You know
that,
what I'm
though.
saying?
You mind putting that down?
I'm gonna hold on to it just a little longer if it's all the same to you.
What?
Nothing. The Splinter came out.
Oh, nice. He's like, oh, fucking great, well done. Good for you.
I don't know how old they are, but who cares? If you're alive in the apocalypse, you're like 150 years old anyway. I
That's
don't
true.
know where they're from, nowhere and everywhere probably.
Just need to know you can play ball with us.
And you know that she can beat your ass up, so...
When can I see my friends?
Right now. I got it, let's go!
Wait!
Oh. Oh! Okay, I really enjoyed this episode. I loved the focus on Princess and getting to learn a bit more about her. Because obviously, out of that group of people that were kind of surrounded by the Stormtroopers at the end of the original finale, Princess was the one we'd only recently met. So like she was in like the last 2 episodes, I think, of last season. Well, last season before they extended it with these You know what I mean? So the fact that a lot of it was focused on her, we learned a bit more about her, exactly how like her mind works and everything. It was a really clever idea to have one of those bonus episodes be about her to really flesh her out a lot more, while also finding cool different ways of incorporating those other characters, but also getting a bit more of a sense of who those people were without giving too much away from like this new stormtrooper group. I believe they're from the comics and stuff, I think. I have not read the comics for spoiler avoidance reasons. I'll do that after the show finishes. So I can't really add much to the conversation about what to expect from them entirely, because I have no bloody idea. But yeah, I really loved the focus on Princess and getting a bit of backstory for her. The way they kind of set it up, it's like, oh wow, you know, I like how they're linking this back to the story she was telling Yumiko about her stepfather and getting hit in the jaw, getting the splinter, all of that. It's like, oh, it's happening all over again. You know, similar things are happening to her. She's getting hit in the jaw, she's getting the splinter again. But then it kind of just becomes the fact that she's just returned that story to herself in a way, and it's just her method of coping with everything that's happening, being shut in that confined space, you know, getting that splinter. It's kind of reawakened all those traumatic memories, I guess, for her. And we just saw this episode her kind of deal with that, and that's how her mind's working. Which is really interesting, and it makes sense given what we'd seen before with like her dressing up those walkers and stuff. You know, she has this wild, crazy, outlandish personality and imagination. And it's really all just down to a coping mechanism, because, you know, when she's listing off all these things that she has to deal with and all that she's going through, I think that's a really interesting thing they can do with that now, and explore, you know, her mental health and some mental disorders through her character. I love that representation. I think that's going to be really interesting to get an insight into that, especially in the world of the apocalypse. Like, it's bad enough for anyone in the apocalypse, but all those things that Princess has to deal with as well and go through all of that, as kind of brutal as it is, and the fact on top of that she was completely alone for a lot of this time, just makes it all the sadder, and all the more power to her that she's actually, you know, survived on her own for that time. So yeah, how it was all kind of structured was really well done, and I was like, well, that's a bit bloody convenient. There's just a great big bloody hole in the thing where they're keeping her, and she can just quite easily just take it out and explore. I'm like, that's rubbish. Like, what kind of security is that? And I was thinking, well, is it a test? You know, do they actually want her to do that? And I don't know if there's any sort of debate. We obviously know that Ezekiel wasn't really there. And that was a great performance as well by the actor, because I was like, this doesn't feel like Ezekiel, this feels off. I was like, is it just because I haven't seen the character in a little bit? I'm like, this doesn't feel like Ezekiel, but it really wasn't, and I think he got more and more less Ezekiel-ish as it went on, before that big reveal that it was actually Princess herself who was kind of beating on that guy and everything. It was just her alone in there. So was like the hole in the thing that she was crawling through and being outside and like sneaking around the guard, was that all just in her head? Did that actually happen? Or, you know, was it just kind of a figment of her imagination? So we didn't actually see Eugene, Ezekiel, and Yumiko in this episode. That was just her, kind of, her imagination. Because even like Yumiko, the way she was speaking and stuff, I know she was like apparently injured and everything, but it even felt a bit off. I was like, that doesn't feel quite like Yumiko. And I even got that feeling with Eugene, so I don't know if it's just down to the performances as well, kind of leaving up to her interpretation exactly what was in Princess's head and which wasn't. Obviously her being interviewed was real and that did happen, but was everything else? It's kind of interesting, and it would sort out the idea that all that tight security and this super awesome suit technology and everything that they have, and that's how they replaced a hole in one of those crates. You know, that would have been a bit bullshit. So it kind of been like, well, you know, maybe she never actually got out of that, and it's all just part of her imagination, and her coping mechanism is to just make up these wild stories, and that's why her kind of big, bold, brash personality is as out there as it is, because that's kind of how she's coping with things. She needs to make it larger than life, because then it doesn't necessarily have to feel real to her that the world is awful and all this stuff is happening. So I thought that was really, really interesting, and huge props to the actress who plays Princess, and all the actors in this episode I think did a really good job. yeah, it was just a fascinating insight into the character and that mind space and her imagination, which is something I personally can relate to. I remember, you know, when I was a kid, all I ever do was really like make up stories in my head and have this wild, crazy imagination going all over the place. So to see that reflected in Princess was really lovely and very grounded in a bizarre way to me, and very real. I really enjoyed what they did with that. And it does bring up a lot of debates, you know, what was real in that, what wasn't. We know Ezekiel for sure was just in Princess's head, but was Yumiko as well, was Eugene as well, her interactions with them? Or were it was just that entire time, outside of the interview or whatever, were her friends just there with the bags over their heads? And they've been like that for most of the episodes, not that we knew that until the very end. So even like the whole thing with that guy that she ended up capturing and kind of beating up and stuff, it seemed like it was all part of a plan, or maybe they overheard all the shouting and screaming because they weren't being exactly subtle about what was going on with those two. But it seemed like that guy, you know, when he put his stuff back on and everything, they were ready for Princess. When he opened the door, he's like, okay, I've got her, let's go. And they were already there bagged, all her other friends. So I thought that was really interesting. You know, was that just part of their plan as well? Are they sinister? Are they not? I mean, they don't seem like the friendliest bunch, to be honest, like just beating up people. Because even if the whole thing, you know, if that was all in her head about Yumiko being like knocked out or whatever and beaten up, for sure she got hit by that jerky guy, that dickhead. And I love the way they shot him, actually. The fact that he was just all kind of in shade and you never really got a properly good look at his face. I thought that was really, really well directed, that sequence. I thought that, yeah, that was really great. Makes him seem very shady, but they also say, oh, we have a process, we need to protect the people, blah, blah, blah. But sure, you could do it in a less violent way. Granted, she did kind of beat up the guy in return, but yeah, I'm intrigued to find out more about those people and what their community actually is like, because right now I'm not sold on it, but we'll see. But Stephanie also seemed very nice when Eugene talked to her on the radio, so if she's from this community, maybe there are some good eggs in there. I don't know. Interesting though, how much you can kind of interpret and kind of focus on. And yes, I loved how they were kind of repeating the backstory for Princess with the Splinter and the stepdad hitting her, and it can be seen as like a hint of that reveal that ultimately came about near the end. But also it would have just been like a history repeats itself kind of thing anyway. The fact that she was like counting and I think she was like recording some states or like just listing all these facts and stuff to kind of, her brain is constantly needing to be kept occupied. That's how she's coping with the situation. She's just like keeping busy, keeping distracted, and like, pacing around the room, counting how many steps it is. All of those kind of things. It was just really interesting hints towards those reveals and revealing all these issues and all that stuff that, you know, Princess has to go through. It's a very sad revelation in a way. But it's cool that they can tackle kind of mental health and stuff like that in the apocalypse with a character like this. So they've done it in the past to an extent, like with Rick when he was like hallucinating people on the phone and hallucinating Laurie and stuff. You know, it has been a thing before, and you know, when Tyrese was dying, he was hallucinating everyone. But you know, I think that was just there to be like spooky and meaningful, and you know, wrapping up story arcs and stuff. Whereas this felt a bit more like, okay, this is an issue we're going to tackle, which I really do appreciate, and I'm glad they're going to do it, I think. So yeah, I think Princess is kind of one to watch in terms of characters, which is really lovely that she's been in, 3 episodes so far? I absolutely adore her. Like, I think one of the best new character interactions and introductions that we've had, probably since Connie, in my opinion. So yeah, that was really, really cool. I love that a lot. And everything they did with her character, the idea that she's so passionate about having bonds with people because she's been alone for a little while, and what, you know, it seemed her connection with her mother meant to her, and how that kind of really soured out, and maybe she wasn't such a good person, and she like locked alone in a garage or something to eat alone, or just starve in the garage, and that kind of was triggered by her being locked in that crate thing, and then the Splinter and everything all coming back. That was really interesting, and her own insecurities were kind of projecting back on her, because it wasn't Ezekiel saying, "Oh, they're my friends." That was like what she would potentially assume Ezekiel would say. So she's very insecure that these people aren't her friends yet, and she may lose these people still. She just wants to belong. She wants to prove herself. I love that they were kind of tackling those deep insecurities in her. So just this one episode added so many layers to Princess. Showed just how much there is going on with her. It's kind of a shame not every single character can get an episode like this, because I feel like it really would benefit them. But regardless, it was a really great insight into her character, and I think she's going to be one to watch going forward. I really loved what they did with this, and just debating how much of it exactly was in her head, how much of it actually did genuinely happen. Because for me, I feel like her being interviewed by the guy actually happened, and the soldier, when she like beat him up and everything, their interactions, I feel like that was real. But maybe everything else potentially was all in her head. That's kind of how I feel. Potentially, maybe Yumiko was actually there, but again, to me, she felt a bit off anyway, and I know she was like hurt, but even then, it didn't feel quite like her, and they didn't ever show her face. We only ever heard her voice when Princess was talking to her. So lots of potential debates there about exactly how much is real, but I love that. I think that's really interesting, and I'd be keen to find out exactly what you guys thought was real and what you thought might have been in Princess's head and everything. Really, really well done. I loved that focus on her character, and a bit of a glimpse at what this new group of Stormtrooper people are gonna potentially be like. But again, what kind of game are they playing? Beating up on people, but also saying that they're nice and they're just protecting people. Being like, oh yeah, we'll be willing to like make deals or potentially talk if you just answer the questions. But then they ended up, throwing a bag over Princess's head, and all her friends already had bags over their head, and it seemed like they were ready for Princess when he opened the door. Even though apparently she like managed to sneak him away, and he was like tied up there in secret. So was that just a long game? Was that a plan? Because there was a moment when the guy, when he got up and like put his stuff back on, he did like touch his radio and it crackled a bit. So was that just him like sending a signal like, oh, this is like an SOS signal, come to my location? Was that what that was? Was that just a sound effect for the sake of a sound effect? I don't know. But I'm intrigued to learn a bit more about them, and I wasn't expecting any of that stuff in these extra bonus episodes, because I thought, well, that's clearly a season 11 thing to explore this new community. So the fact that we did get a bit of it in an episode like this, I'm kind of here for anyway. So yeah, I really, really loved this episode. I thought it was really fascinating. Loved what they did with Princess. The actress was fantastic. Everyone in this episode was really good. But yeah, a really powerhouse performance, I would say. She really, there's a lot of pressure, I think, particularly for a pretty damn new character to basically have a whole episode to herself. Because if, you could say like Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Eugene weren't really there in their scenes, basically the only characters we saw in this episode were Princess, the guy who interrogated her, and the guy she beat up. So she really would have to carry it. I think she absolutely did. Like, fantastic job, fantastic performance. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we'll be focusing on in the next ones. We have 2 more left. I know what the finale is kind of about. I believe is like a Negan one. But I have no idea what next week's episode's about, so I'm excited for that. But these bonus episodes have been fantastic. Really loving what they're doing for the characters that are being featured in there, for sure. So yeah, I guess it's going to be everything, but fantastic episode. Really, really loved this one. And until my next reaction, thanks for watching.